fine.
Okay, so that's going to be there. I'm going to have people send questions, and then Jeff is going to review those. If Jeff can answer them, because since Jeff has done a lot of work. Jeff, this is Victoria. Victoria, this is Jeff. Jeff works in our lab, Victoria.
Oh, great. Nice to meet you, Victoria.
Nice to meet you. I'm so excited that you all are doing this for us. It's a wonderful project, and we really appreciate you sharing this with our DLSIG.
Great. I've already started recording, and yeah, I'll answer questions as they come in. So great. I think we're ready.
So just in case anybody comes in the lab and make noise, just make sure your mic's off until you need it.
All right, turning it off.
You can do those through the chat window. Now I'm going to broadcast. Now everybody, so we're now should be live.
Okay, I'm going to.
So I see 16 people up there now. Don, you should be able to go.
Okay, you need to not share the screen.
Okay. Oh, well.
And then I can speak, and that will get us up. Okay.
I might need to move that window. Well, I think they can probably see you.
They'll see me as a picture-in-picture, so that's fine too.
I see Lauren Bickert, Anita Bowles saying hello.
Well, hi, Anita.
And she says she sees both of us on camera.
Okay.
And there's, yep, Dr. Fisher, one at a time. So yeah, what it does is it puts whoever's talking.
Okay, got it. But I don't see it that way, so I understand now.
So you're live and you're ready to go. Yeah, Catherine can see us. Sydney Early is there. He sees everybody. Okay, so we're moving along here. We can give people, there are lots more people coming on. So why don't we'll just give them a couple more minutes because there's a lot of people coming on. I see Canton, New York. I see California, North Carolina. 10 people watching there where Marlene is on from Minnesota. Right, Marlene? Are you in Minnesota? We've got Aloha from Hawaii, Colorado in the house. Richmond. Oh man, they're just going crazy. Yep, yeah, Minnesota. So yeah, Sharon is in Virginia. I see Sharon on there. So we've got lots of folks here. San Jose, Lauren is. Urbana-Champaign. Hi there. Louisville. So we can, Don, you know any good jokes? Because there's people still coming on here.
Yeah, I can tell a couple of jokes, all right.
This appropriate for this. Remember, this is originating at BYU.
Well, you know, I'm a golfer and I'm older than dirt. So I got this one where, you know, two old golfers go to the tee and one guy says, "Hey, my vision isn't what it used to be. Will you take a look at this and tell me where the ball goes?" And so the other guy says, "Sure, I can do that." And the guy steps up, he hits the ball, and he said, "Well, where did it go?" And the guy says, "I saw it, but I forgot."
Two old guys, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We've got Olaf from Spain. We've got, I just saw Turkey go flashing by a second ago.
Wow.
We've got several in Mexico, Connecticut, Iowa, Tampa, Florida, Louisville. I think I said that one earlier. So I see folks saying hi to colleagues that they know. On the list at Missouri, Arizona State. Hi, Andrew. Let's see.
Yeah, there's DLI, Michael Veselich.
Yep. He's saying the audio is choppy in and out. Is anybody else's audio having problems?
I'm not.
Yeah, we're getting, yeah, we everything, everybody's getting good audio, looks like, except for the one. East Coast folks after the snowstorm. Okay, so Don, I think we go ahead and get started here.
Well, okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our Zoom session. I'm talking on behalf of Victoria Russell, our new chair for the Distance Learning SIG. Victoria, say hi to everybody.
Hello, hello. Sorry, I had to unmute my microphone. Really, Don set this up, and he needs to be the one doing the introductions. He did all the legwork on this, so I'm very thankful, and I'll let him take it from there.
Okay, well, it's really great that we've finally fulfilled a promise we made in 2014 at the actual convention to have Dr. Mike Bush talk to us about IML. We have had this morning 162 registrants for this, so this is really getting out there. And we hope all of you will, be part of the DL SIG. We've got over 500 members, and we think we're one of the most progressive out there. We're just really great to have Mike Bush, who's director of the ArcLight Labs at Brigham Young University, with us today. Actually, Mike's been a mentor for me. He got me into this business of applying technology to learning, and today he's still doing it. So, Mike, take it away.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. Everybody should be able to see on your screen the web browser that I have up there. I'm going to switch that to the presentation. I need to exit here. No, that's okay. So I need to do a shift tab here to get to. There we go. PowerPoint. Okay. Taking a second there, but we should now be able to see the PowerPoint, and I can see things coming up here with the with the chat window there. Okay, well, I'm really happy to have this opportunity to talk to you about IML. The captions on this, the subtitles on the presentation, using interactive video to flip the classroom. I had to throw that buzzword in there. A lot of people are interested in what Salman Khan talked to us about, talked to the world about, with flipping the classroom, changing the situation from what we do in the classroom and what we do outside of class, switching those. The other part of this, I would like to say that I feel very strongly that we can improve the efficiency of the teacher and the student time as we use this technology. So that's what we're going to be talking about here for the next while. This is scheduled for an hour. We are recording it, and we do have an opportunity for you to ask questions. I have someone monitoring the questions. Jeff is in our lab and will help with that. He's been working with the system, and he can respond to some. He can make sure that I see some of the others. So here's the overview of the presentation. We're going to introduce you to IML, what it is, why it's important, and then talk briefly about the challenge and the theory that's involved that we're implementing with the technology, and then provide a brief overview of the technology itself, and talk about some current implementations of IML, some places where it's been used already. We're still sort of in beta, but it's an advanced beta. I will say that because it's very stable, it's working well, and we've got quite a few users online right now here at BYU, on campus, BYU Independent Study, and we have had users at other campuses as well. I'm going to do some demonstrations in a little bit later on, a feature-length movie and a class that I've been teaching, talk about the connection with Quizlet.com, which we think is quite interesting. I'll show some video that we shot in Damascus, Syria a few years ago as part of the flagship effort that we did for Advanced Arabic. BYU Studio C production. We've just recently put online UNIDOS materials from Pearson World Languages that will be used by BYU Independent Study. And then I'll show a YouTube video from a Russian 322 class. We've got some students that have commented as part of this class that we taught last semester. IML had its genesis in a $300,000 project that came to the American Councils for International Education. $100,000 of that came to BYU. Plus, BYU has been putting in contributions there. I see a typo on my slide. Sorry about that. And this resulted in the creation of the website ayamel.org, which has an API for connecting to the resource library. I should say here that this was a grant from the flagship project and started thus as the flagship media library. We now call it IML instead of FML for the flagship media library. Had a graduate student come tell me, we can't call it FML, and I said, why not? And she said, look in the Urban Dictionary. So I'll tell you all the same thing, but so it's now IML, which is a stylized form of the letters IML. A primary design premise of the system is basically, as we started this development, was to do what we call, and another typo, my heavens, YouTube on steroids to support language learning. And now we're going to what we call IML at BYU, which is simply done to distinguish the IML.org from the work that we're doing here at BYU. But IML basically makes media, we feel, very easy to use for both learners and teachers. Outside the classroom, and we have people using it in the classroom. Teachers find that they can get immediate access, just doing a quick search on the transcript of the video. And they're able to see the video, what they want in the video immediately. We feel the benefit that comes from it is to maximize the opportunities that are available in the classroom through that classroom experience. It also provides accountability for things that students are doing outside of class. And I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. Also the platform that we have in place, where we actually collect records on every interaction that the user has with the system, which words they click on, which interactions they are engaged in, how many times they repeat a phrase, basically what they do with the system. And then as an important principle, it implements crowdsourcing for network effects, the benefits that come from that. Some people call that Metcalfe's law. I think George Gilder was the one that coined that phrase. But here's the idea. If you think about the value of one telephone, it's not very useful, right? But if you have 2 people, or if you have 5 people, or if you have 12 people, the value of that network increases through the interconnections that are available. This is from Wikipedia, the article on network effect. And so we talk about the value of the network as n squared, where n is the number of the connections, telephone in this case. So I asked Jeff over in our lab let's talk about IML users and the network effect. So each of our IML logos, RG, red, yellow, and blue, the primary colors that make up the video, because we're not only video, we're media, but video is a big part of what we do. So if we have 2 users, that has value. They can share the results of their work. But the interconnections, when you can start to benefit from the work of other people, that grows at that geometric rate. And it's really more like n squared. Here we see 12 users exchanging content. And that's a big part of what IML represents. So we're interested in having people join with us in using the system. I'll be sending out a link for a Qualtrics survey. It's very short, 10 minutes, where you identify your language and what you think you might want to do with IML, and we'll include you in this phase of our operation. So IML, its basic purpose is to provide a multimedia experience, a true multimedia experience for target language content that enables annotations for video, audio, graphics, and even text. Like I mentioned before, we're spending most of our effort on video right now, but these other media are available as well. Another big part of what we're doing is that IML connects to learning management systems using learning tools interoperability. This is from the IMS Global Consortium, and basically allows us to connect from a typical LMS, such as Canvas from Instructure, Brain Honey from Agilix, Moodle. Some of you, I think, probably use Moodle. And also here at BYU, we have our own LMS called BYU Learning Suite, and we have tested IML. Basically, IML is a tool provider in the LTI terminology. The LMS is the tool, is the consumer, basically. Okay, so it basically also is built upon principles of an open architecture that allow it to connect to other applications out there, such as Quizlet.com. I'll admit that for a long time in my teaching career, I've not been a big fan of card decks, flashcards, but students want to use it, and I've found that some of the activities on Quizlet are actually quite interesting. So the words that you look up and able to save those to your word list and then export those to Quizlet.com. I'll demonstrate that in a moment. So this is a graphic that illustrates what's going on here, whether you have applications that basically will, from the LMS, with these interactive processes that are connecting the applications developer to the platform administrator, learners, and teachers. So that LTI, this is from the IMS website. This is just one example. This is a course that is being used right now through BYU Independent Study, and what you see here is a page from the, forgot to silence my phone there, put it on airplane mode. Sorry about that. We have here the, from Agilix, this is Brain Honey. And so you see here the syllabus that the students access. They click on the link in the syllabus that's here, and that will take them, this is a little instruction to let them know how to use the software. They click there and it'll take them right over in another tab within their browser. So it's very easy to interconnect these, and we have that running in several different learning management systems. We have video streaming from numerous sources. As an audio, I'll add to that, but it can come from the standard web server, from YouTube. I'll demonstrate each of these: Bright Cove, Yala, Vimeo, and then we've been adding recently in some work we're doing with the Utah Dual Language Immersion Program in Spanish. They have video that they are using from, they want to use from Scola.org, and so you're able now to connect that video, which is from a Wowza media server that Scola is using, and we've just started, been testing that in the last couple of weeks. Let's say a quick couple of words here about some of the assumptions that are part of what we're doing, that talk about language learning today. We feel very strongly that technology can play a role. That's not always been the case. Surveys in the early 80s said, what in the heck would somebody want to do technology for in a humanities classroom? But we're pretty excited about the fact that technology can play a role in pretty much any learning enterprise. We also feel strongly that the new learning, the new content, however, new vocabulary, however you want to talk about it, is best learned, and some would even say can only be learned when the new is connected to the old, what is already known. And this basically places meaningful learning over rote learning in terms of importance. We also feel strongly that learner centricity is an important concept, and I'll say a couple words about that in a moment. And then finally, the most important learning the most important learning variable is time on task. And I'll talk about that here in just a second. With respect to learner centricity, research that Benjamin Bloom of Bloom's taxonomy of educational, the hierarchy of educational objectives, did some work in the early 80s in lots of different subject matters and compared a one-to-one, one tutor to one student situation, and compared that to a standard classroom. This is the distribution that he came up with. And this was in numerous courses, numerous situations where you had one tutor and one student. Now, Bloom's two-segment difference was very quickly entitled the Bloom's two sigma problem. So what's the problem with that? Someone type that in your chat window there. What do you think the problem is with this kind of a one-to-one setting? Well, the point here then, and that's correct, the point is nobody can afford that. So it's a huge problem. One tutor, one student, but we like to set that up as being the ideal for the situation. Any learning can be enhanced. And so we like to talk about the most efficient, the best, the ideal setting for language learning to take place is one pedagogically informed native speaker of the language and one student. If you set that up as your ideal for teaching language, and then we say, well, what can we do with materials, with technologies, with the teacher, with students working together? What can we do to approach that one-to-one setting? But because you see the difference that you're getting here, 2 standard deviations is what he found in class after class. And that says that the best students in the classroom setting are only slightly better than the students that are at the lower end of that normal distribution. We feel like that's a very important principle. So going on here to our to the implementation of our materials, we also feel very strongly that stories or narrative can play a huge role. Basically, as human beings, we love to tell stories and we love to have others tell us stories. Thousands of years of experience, from the campfire to movies and television today, all of our experience demonstrates that stories are important to human existence. Now, it's not just that we enjoy stories. They also are important to how our minds work, how we deal with reality. We understand the world around us in terms of stories we've already understood. So why is IML important? Well, let's talk about that for a second. Some colleagues have mentioned the term game changer. Is IML a game changer? Well, we're pretty excited about it, but I will say that pendulums will swing and bandwagons will roll, but no silver bullet has ever been or ever will be a reality. Acquiring a language is hard work, and it takes literally thousands of hours. Now, why is that? Well, learning a language is probably the most difficult task that human beings undertake. But what's interesting about it is there's this somewhat bizarre paradox that the attainment of perfection, while it's natural for a normal growing child, it's virtually impossible for an adult. And I've been speaking French longer than I've been speaking English, and I have a live-in tutor. My wife is from France, but people give them, maybe I can fool them 2 minutes, but not 4. They're going to know that I'm not speaking French with perfection. So it's a difficult thing we're trying to accomplish. And with that in mind, we then move to time on task, saying, okay, looking at Gladwell's notion, he actually brought that into his discussion in the book Outliers from a fellow named Erickson, a researcher, said that really to become an expert, it's going to take 10,000 hours of practice. And they did this across various fields and came up with that number. I did the numbers and think, well, okay, a 6-year-old who's going to school in first grade, they've been at this language learning thing for 5 years. Someone who's, there are researchers out there that say that it actually starts even before birth, that there's language, this learning that's taking place even prior. that child arrives at school with 29,200 hours of L1 language acquisition under their belt. So that's a lot more than the 10,000. But give that to our students as being a target, and we have to think, how in the world can we motivate and engage them to want to put in the required time? Now, the activities that we can do, however, we want to be careful that we don't overpromise. We're not saying that IML is going to replace teachers. We're not saying that, but we'll say that teachers who use technology will replace teachers who don't. So we feel like IML can be a lever to teachers. It can also be a tool for someone wanting to learn language on their own. In that distance learning setting, we have experiences that are showing us that it can be very, very beneficial. But really the point here is that if the technology can do something, we have a lot of research that says that it can, then let's not waste teacher time on doing those kinds of things, because we know that there are things that teachers do better than we'll ever be able to do in the foreseeable future with technology. I would say for the Star Wars fans out there, barring having C-3PO available as the tutor, we're going to find that that humans are going to be able to do better than what our robotic friends might be able to accomplish. And what's really fun about this, interesting to me, is that the things that teachers do well and do better than the technology are really the things that are more fun for the students anyway, for the teachers and the students, especially for the teachers, but probably more fun for the students as well. So the theory then, all input, especially repetitive input must be meaningful. Repetition should not mean word-for-word parroting. Repetition and pedagogy should not be limited to what we would say is our visual and audio elements of reading and video. That these sorts of things can happen in the learner's mind. We could talk a lot about that for a while, but let's press on here and talk about these repeated encounters and say, okay, experiencing the language, we need to have our learners using a range of language functions and a range of different contexts. Now, video can actually be part of that. I saw that Sharon had logged in, Shini Cariello, and this is from a book an article from the actual volume back in 1989, basically telling us that there's really no reason why video should not be part of our courses. This was that number of years ago, 20 many years ago. But fundamentally, it's a great way to tell stories. And finally, the students love it. It's really cool. Yet, as I talk to people, I'm finding that it's not being used to the extent that it can be. So a quick word here about the past. Promises. Someone said that books would be obsolete very soon. We're going to teach everything with a motion picture. We're going to change schools in 10 years. Well, that was by Thomas Edison in 1919, and he was going to do that with this technology. So these kinds of things are why I like to point out that if we start trying to predict the future, if we try to forecast, it's really tough, especially when it involves the future. But when we forecast the future of technology, we're going to be wrong twice. We're going to overestimate the impact in the near term, but invariably underestimate the impact in the long term. So if we think about the history of call, most of you have been through this. We can remember the Plato system. Someone is in here, I noticed earlier, actually from Champaign-Urbana. The Ticket Project here at BYU, interactive video at the 80s here at BYU, at the Air Force Academy. There were lots of things that have been done over the years that have been telling us that video can be useful for language, but it has not yet happened. This is a center that I helped put together at the Air Force Academy. It came online in the late 80s, but there were some problems with that technology. If you think about having a video disc player, a computer, a monitor, and then putting students on that, there were a couple of problems. The first one was the price of each workstation. $8,000 then, $12,000 today. What's the second problem? Everyone look at that picture and tell me what you see. The second problem is very visible there. think learner centricity. What do you see? 2 headsets and 1 mouse. So who was in control? Where was individualization? Where was the learner centricity in that setting? A brief anecdote, we convinced Steve Krashen to come visit us. He looked at what we were doing at the time, which in many ways was like what we're doing with IML, but it was available only to people that had these expensive workstations. Krashen said, looked at it and that software we were running and said, well, this is okay, but don't worry about all this support stuff, the text, the definition, just give them more video, spend your money on more video. Well, my answer to him today is to say, IML broadens the range of learners that can, from any given sample of languages that will help the students acquire the language. They can benefit from the capabilities that are provided. Now, what does the future hold? Well, we're seeing this exponential growth in the power of information technology. Ray Kurzweil points out that we're merely here at the knee of this curve, which tells us that we took a long time to get to where we are. But if we look at the slope, there's the knee, and we're on this side of the curve now. And I just summarize that and say, we ain't seen nothing yet. When we think about this old technology and what we're doing today with all these devices that people carry around, the iPhone that you carry in your pocket is 2,000 times more powerful in terms of memory and 2,000 times more powerful than the computer was to which this terminal connected that could have been, it had to be by definition across the country. So this is where we are. Now, let's talk for just a quick moment about the technical underpinnings of IML. Open architecture, client-server applications that we're building. We're basing the work on standards, HTML5, CSS, JavaScript for people that care about this sort of thing. We run with multiple browsers, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. We develop in Chrome and then test in Firefox and Safari. What's interesting to see is that Microsoft seems to finally be getting on board, and we're encouraged by what we're seeing. We've not yet made because there are a few little differences, but things are convinced pretty close with Edge in particular. We're playing video, as I mentioned earlier, from lots of different sources, and which makes it very, very flexible. You don't put your video into IML. It can be in any server right now that we're able to support, which is that wide range. So from a student's perspective, they enjoy watching it because it's fun. It's going to help them get to the number of hours that they need because it's engaging. It's interactive, and they're able to call upon some pretty powerful tools such as subtitles. Now we have colleagues that, sure, some of you chatted with them, who will tell us that they don't want their students to see the text. They want to rely on the audio, the oral element for listening comprehension, and I get that, but I will say that, you know, there's something to be said for having the text available. Not only that, they're able to break the words up. They're able to make the sound symbol correspondence, and if we do it right, we're actually adding the text as an extra tool for the language learner. We're able to do things, and there's research that supports this. It's not like we just think it's a good idea, but there have been quite a few studies. We have a growing bibliography of good research that says having subtitles available is good, and making them interactive is even better. And then we add to that the ability for students to build their word list, export that to Quizlet. I'm going to show here in a moment variable playback speed when watching content made for native audiences, and then the ability to repeat what they just heard. What did that person say again? Let me click on that button and hear it again. These helpful tools for the teachers make the content more meaningful for students. We have some really, we feel, leading edge sorts of development tools that allow us to get the captions associated with the video. That's a key part. We support this with some help pages. We've already been able to create that tool for creating the captions is called Caption Aider. And then, of course, automatic definitions that's made available through a source that we have called YLEX, Y-Lex. It's a service that runs on a server here at BYU that when we make a request of IML, we want to know what the definition is. IML sends the request to YLEX. YLEX looks at a range of dictionaries to provide those automatic definitions. It starts with BYU dictionaries. It goes to Glasby, a couple of guys in Poland that have done a crowdsourced open site that we're really finding is quite impressive. We connect to wordreference.com. They don't share their API anymore, but we're grandfathered on that. Merriam-Webster. The final fallback is we have for Russian, we have the Southeastern Asian Language Laboratory effort that the federal government funded. Doug Cooper, I believe, is the principal investigator there. So for Russian, we have that available. That will give us Russian to Russian. And then we also have Jim Breen's dictionaries and capabilities that he's built for Japanese. So there's a wide range addressing lots of different languages through YLEX. And then, of course, the teacher can add their own annotations. We know, for example, that just looking a word up in a dictionary is not going to always provide what the student needs to see or hear. So we can have annotations that will appear as well. So let's do some demonstrations. I'm going to show a feature-length movie from a French semester. Here, let me leave this, and you all should be able to see IML here. We have a great deal of content that's available. I will go to the admin dashboard just to give you sort of a sense here. I'm going to have that load up the content. That takes a couple of minutes, and we're going to click here to a feature-length movie that copy. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. Go back to here. I noticed here someone said, as I do this, someone said that they were, okay. I need to do it that way. That's not going to, well, I'm not able to copy from, there, I have to do it that way. That took a second. It's a little interesting how this interacts. This is a movie, the chorus, Les Choristes. I've used this for 2 or 3 years in a French conversation class. So I'll start with this one. We can play the video. For some years, we told people we could almost do with streaming video what we could do with video disc 25 years ago. We're at a point right now where I'm able to say we actually do more. If I click on closed captions here, I can turn those on, and I can jump to the very first utterance that's in the movie. I can turn the transcript on. I can stop my video with the space bar. I can jump all the way to the end of the movie and say, I want to hear that utterance, and there I am at the end of the movie. Those of you who watched video disc from years ago, you had to figure out which video disc side that they were on until they had to spin the disc. I mean, it's just awful to think about. But we can, by having this available, they can select a word. In this case, it went to Glasby, the 2 guys in Poland that I mentioned earlier. In that case, if the learner selects the whole sentence, in that case, the fallback is Google Translate. Now, I use that as an object lesson and tell my students, this actually is not very bad translation, but many times Google, as we all know, will come back with something that's not quite what we would like to see. It's not quite is what's being said. And what I find is that I can tell the students, okay, do you see the weird English that this is giving to you? This is exactly why you don't write your essays in English and then translate those using Google Translate and turn that essay in to your teacher. Now, someone asked the question, was this video available publicly, or what would be the copyright issues around putting a full-length movie onto IML? Well, our copyright lawyers have said, if it's used in a course, if it's behind password protection, and we own the video, we can, in fact, make it available to our students. So we have a permission system in IML that makes the video meet those requirements. We have courses that are, I'm going to open up another window here. I'll go back to this one. This is, you can see here, I'll just scroll through, lots of content that's been added. A lot of this is open. It's this is 200 chemistry videos. We actually have a project underway where one of our graduate students is using IML and the capability for data collection to look at how learners use chemistry videos for their study. You can see Japanese, so now today, including some of our test videos, there's 3,246 videos out there. If we look at courses that are available, let me open this one up in a new tab here. So courses that are available. We have demo courses, people that are using these in their, here on campus that are using them down at BYU Independent Study. So there's lots of courses. Some of those are open, but if you go to IML at the root for the site, you'll see here open courses. So here we ask that people only put content here that's available. We make the assumption to folks to say, look, if it's available on YouTube, then you can feel free to go ahead and put it out there. So English public content, we have here a video on how to use IML. This is a music video, Louis Armstrong, Wonderful World. This is one that I put together as a demonstration here. This is from a comedy group here at BYU called Studio C. And using Captionator, it takes just a very few minutes to actually put these together. Someone asked the question, well, who does the transcripts? Well, luckily for feature-length movies, there are SRT files make these available. Someone says, well, lucky, sometimes YouTube videos have captions. In fact, what I have done is use software to take the YouTube captions. I did this with this particular video, and I was able to use their caption.
Let me show you a place where everything's wonderful.
We never lose a girlfriend.
Where you gotta be hot if you wanna fight crime.
My hair, my abs.
Sometimes life.
So this is a spoof on the Avengers, right? And so I used YouTube. I went, in this case, I'm not sure if I got it from keepsubs.org, or there's actually software out there called Google 2 SRT. Google the number 2 SRT, and you can grab subtitles that way. You bring those into Captionator, and maybe I can do that here as we move forward. But let me just go ahead and show you the dictionary that's available here. I'm going to select dangerous. In this case, it goes to Merriam-Webster, which has the pronunciations actually available. I think Glosby's having some of those too, and we're looking at making that connection because Glosby has some very interesting language pairs.
Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Sometimes, sometimes.
Now you can see here the link. This is part of the Merriam-Webster API. We have to provide their logo and also a link to their page where that word has been defined. So so that's basically the way it works in English. Now let's do this in Albanian. I think I know which one I'm going to get. Let's say that I'm an English learner and my native language, my L1 is Albanian, and I want to know what dangerous is. In this case, it goes to Glosby. Again, those two guys in Poland. So it's actually we're finding that that Glasby is getting very, very useful. So there's the full phrase. This one, of course, falls back to Google Translate. Yeah, Leanne Stone said, did that dangerous make anyone else think of Will Robinson? Absolutely. Danger, Will Robinson, danger, the robot. Very good. So, so that's one piece of content there that I wanted to show. Let me go back to my list here. And this full screen here is actually got to be a way to end that full screen. You know, let's see. Well, okay, here it is down here. PowerPoint. So I wanted to show Quizlet.com. Let me do that real quick. So these words that I've been looking up here, I can add these to my word list by doing that, and then I go up to here and see my word list. I can say, okay, I'm working on Spanish. I want to select all of these and export those to Quizlet. And then I go to Quizlet.com, and Spanish, for whatever reason, I don't see, but I did this the other day. So then there are various activities then that are available on Quizlet for matching up translations and so on. In this case, we're providing everything. So Colleen is going to be one of these. Ton is this one over there. So that one, and then Colleen is this one right here, and Feast is that one. So I did that in 16.4 seconds. Students can share these. We're also building in the capability, we've not done it yet, that we can collect words across a particular course, so that we can bring those together. Someone asked, what is Doug Cooper's role in with IML? I mentioned him earlier. They created the CLANG, I believe it's clang.org. You can Google that, SEALANG, and we use from there a Russian dictionary that's available that they did. I mentioned Jim Breen as well. It's the same thing there. These are people making resources available and they have application programming interfaces, an API, and that's one of the features I mentioned. IML is open. It can bring these tools in from these various sources. So that's the IML word list function. Let me show one other thing here while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go to Open Analytics. This is using an open source a learning record store. LMS, Learning Management System, we're familiar with that. LRS is a new term that's being used in the Advanced Distributed Learning Initiative, to which you can connect with XAPI calls. It's a way of having an application talk to another application, and we're saving all of the data that is being accessed. So I throw this out as being one of the key functions that's possible to research. I believe we've got a lot of graduate students that have come into the presentation today. So I click on IML production and on statements. These are people that have been logging into the system. This is the activity. So since the beginning of the semester, I click here and I can see somebody's out there running this is a research project that we have underway. Here's someone else looking at, let's see, I'm in here somewhere. It looks like there's a lot of people that happen to be using it this afternoon. So this is the data that's obviously only viewable. And we tell students, look, everything you do is going to be recorded, but the only personal data we have in there is just their ID information. Oh, there I was right there. So there's me somewhere. So, but you get the idea that all of this information is saved in the Learning Record Store. It gives us great opportunity to look for patterns. LRS, what does LRS stand for? Learning Record Store. LRS, and Learning Locker is an open source LRS. And you connect to your learning record store using XAPI for Experience Application Program Interface. But that opens up the research capabilities. Let me go back to PowerPoint here. Okay, so someone wants to know, can you expand on the viewed annotation reference in the logs? Yes, we're able to know which ones, whether it's annotations or automatic definitions. Let's look at annotations. I'm going to go to a video that I have available on the course that I teach. And there's an annotation there that will show that. Let me go to my courses. French 311, Dreyfus Detail. So this is a video. This is this particular one is not yet on YouTube. This is one that this is a music video that I created. Rather than just have images of the singer, I actually tell the story of the Dreyfus. That I picked up.
Je suis un peu ton fils, et je retrouve en moi ta foi dans la justice et ta force au combat. Dans ton honneur déchu, malgré ta peine immense, tu n'as jamais perdu ton amour pour la France. Et s'il ne reste qu'un murmure pour te défendre, par-delà tous les murs, il faut l'entendre. Faire dans ton île en Guyane des fers que l'on t'a mis. Mais pourquoi fallait-il, et je souffre avec toi, des fers que l'on t'a mis pour écraser ton âme et pour briser ta vie, des fers que l'on t'a mis.
So here, let me show a couple other things that I believe I've forgotten to show so far. I can take this and jump.
Pour écraser ton des fers que l'on t'a mis, des fers que l'on t'a mis, des fers que l'on t'a mis, pour écraser des fers que l'on.
So we click there, and here we use an image to talk about the irons that they placed on him. These are images that were taken that represent the place where he was in prison. This is the Dreyfus affair that some of you might know about. Well, those interactions are being saved as well. Let me show one other movie here to illustrate one other capability. I see that we have 9 minutes, so if you want to be putting questions in here, Jeff is looking at these and maybe answering some. I'm not seeing all of them. Yeah, I see Jeff answering some. Good, that's good. Jeff is helping out there, talking about how these things are developed and produced. Okay, the question is, these are teacher created, not student created. Well, yes, they are teacher created, but there's no reason why students cannot create their own annotation tracks. I want to show here one more movie, and then I want to show Captionator before we end this. And by the way, it's very plain to me here, after having, this is the second time I've gone through this. I did this for a class the other day, and there's so much here. I'm going to do this again. So if you're interested, just stay in touch. I will spend some more time on another occasion where I get more into Captionator, because I'm only going to have a moment here just to show that. We're still okay, and I can run this over if anybody that's interested. But let me go to one other movie that go to my courses. And this is a movie that the students enjoy. It's a more modern film. It takes place pretty much in our day. There's a fun storyline behind it. Basically, the mother of 4 children dies. They can't stand each other, but she says, in order to inherit my wealth, you have to go on a pilgrimage to Saint-Jacques de Compostelle, Santiago in Spain. You have to do a pilgrimage, and you have to stay in the same places and be together. Well, they're not too excited about that. We're going to turn on the French here. I'm going to turn on the transcript. So here's so there's the English for those that want to see.
Les actifs de votre mère
We can
s'élèvent
also
donc à
turn
1
on.
million d'euros, plus sa villa sur la côte
This is
estimée.
something that you cannot do with DVD, right? The fact is, we have available multiple caption tracks, and all of those can be displayed at the same time. So we've got this in English and in French. And so let me, okay, so here's this guy right here. I'm going to turn the English off.
Deuxièmement, j'ai une santé fragile, un ulcère à l'estomac, des problèmes de tension, du cholestérol. Donc, il est hors de question que je marche, ne serait-ce même qu'un quart d'heure. On a inventé la brouette, la charrue, le carrosse, la diligence, l'avion, les hors-bords. C'est pas pour se retrouver au 21e siècle comme les crétins, à pied avec un sac à dos au bord des routes. Troisièmement, je gère une société importante, figurez-moi. Je bosse, moi, du matin au soir. J'ai des obligations, des bilans, des salariés, des maisons, des impôts, des papiers, des responsabilités, une vie sociale, des charges sociales. Alors, votre pèlerinage, vous le mettrez là où je pense.
Toute ma vie, j'ai travaillé dans l'école laïque, républicaine
This is what the students typically think they're hearing when it's like this, right?
obligatoire. J'ai lutté contre les préjugés religieux. Toute ma vie, j'ai travaillé dans l'école laïque, républicaine obligatoire. J'ai lutté contre les préjugés religieux.
We haven't found anybody yet that speeds it up on this right here, but there actually was some research done years ago with the counting lectures, and they found that students were watching those lectures in 1.5 to 2 times the speed, which tells us that people can listen faster than the teachers can talk. So that's speeding it up. It is imaginable that might be useful at some point. Let me show one other. Oh, that wasn't copied before. I want to show this video from Pearson that we've just put up to support a course at BYU Independent Study. Now, this video is well done. Here, in this case, we were able to get English and Spanish captions. Jeff did this work. We basically encoded the captions.
Hola, soy Gerardo y hoy estoy en la Ciudad de México.
On the DVDs, and so we have software that we got on the net. Bring that in, rip the DVD, pull the captions in, and we're able to automatically, pretty much, bring those into Captionator. So let me show that here, in a couple of remaining moments here. Launch Captionator. So if I have the caption file, it actually I can load that up at that first step right there. When I click on text. And caption subtitles, if I have the file available, I can upload it right here. And what I have found is even when these captions, well, someone said, can I show it slowing down the audio again? Okay, I'll do that on this one. In just a moment. Let me show Captionator. We're going to turn on the Spanish track there, and then go to the editor, show the Spanish track here. I can zoom in. And so there you see the captions. If I need to add a caption, let's say I'm missing one, I go here, I add the caption, I click there. This is my new caption. What I have found is that many of the captions on YouTube, various other sources, they're often not very well done. But we're able with Captionator to very quickly align those and have them be basically exactly appearing when they're supposed to be. Other tools here, if you'll find that there'll be a difference between the video that you're streaming and what was on the DVD. You select this tool, you can change the whole timeline. You can pick various utterances there. If you need to do that just for a few, you can click and drag and change those. You can delete very easily, and you can make them longer. You can make them start sooner. You can move them anywhere on the timeline. So this is a pretty extensive set of capabilities. I think one of the sessions that I'll do in the future for those that are interested is we'll do a whole session on Captionator, because you're just seeing here a very quick piece. We're not going to save that. I'm going to leave that page, and we go back to here, and someone wanted to hear it slow down again.
Hola, soy Gerardo y hoy estoy en la Ciudad de México. la ciudad más poblada de toda América y que como seguramente sabes, la ciudad más poblada de toda América y que como seguramente sabes, es la capital de los Estados Unidos.
This one came from Gillespie, the definition. So there's a couple of questions here. When you add the captions, you need to manually sync the text with the video. Well, yes, there are technologies that are doing that. We can actually, on Captionator, we do have the ability, we save the audio track, we can actually put the audio track into the timeline down here and actually use that to line these up. But we also have, as one of the tools, and this is where I was saying I'm not going to be able to show this whole thing, we have settings here that allow us to add to the line buffer, and we do an auto cue. I'll demo that next time, but basically we're able to listen to it, and pretty much with the speed of the video, you can click here, start a caption, stop it, start another one, stop it, start another one. So there's lots of ways to speed that process up. Okay, are there annotation capabilities to create interactive elements? I don't know okay, and yes, well, I demonstrated the annotations there with the French video. So that's where you can actually put those in yourself. Will next time be through Actful too? Well, we can publicize it that way. We'll do it through Calico. We will, I'll send, I need to mention one other thing. We've created, folks in the lab have created a survey. Zaption being able to ask a question and answer it. Well, we've not added that here. Well, we actually added it, but then we took it out because we weren't able to move it as quickly as we wanted to. We actually have another whole technology called Playgraph that allows us to do interactive kinds of things like you're talking about. It's not implemented right now, but we've built this in such a way that we could add that. Okay, now let's see. I have a survey that we've done on Qualtrics. I'll send that link to everybody that's participated, and you can simply, it'll take you 10 minutes. You identify the languages that you're interested in, what you are thinking about doing with it. It will give you the chance to sign up, and we'll put you down. Anybody can get to this right now, iml.byu.edu. You can go there, you can start using it right now. We do have help files that are available that will teach you how to use the system. There are some videos there. There are various ways to get started, but to give you more capabilities, we would like to qualify you a little bit. We're not able to support right now, in terms of manpower, a whole lot of people to support that effort, but we're looking to qualify. Could you, the URL here, yeah, go ahead and copy and paste it here. Well, let me go to Qualtrics, and I should be able to get right BYU. I'll do that and put that in this window. Qualtrics and sign in. It's a 10-minute survey, like I said, and it'll ask you your language. This is a survey that we're doing right here. So let me go to that, and I'll be able to get the link, and I'll put that right in here. Distributions. Anonymous link. Copy the link address and put it right there. Okay, we can use your materials in the various languages. Well, okay, Catherine asked that question. If you want to use something that we have there, and you have a project, you want to collect data on it, there's something interesting that you want to do, on a one-by-one basis, we could open that up and I feel like not be violating copyright issues. For a very specific project in a very specific case, and with assurance from you that you would not be sharing that with anyone, and then in fact, we in fact could do something like that. Other questions here? Well, I'll keep going with questions. There's still people online. Other questions? Jeff, do you see any that you want to repost here that maybe I should answer? Go ahead and stick those. Okay, so here's one saying there are more of the textbook companies who are putting their video behind their walls with access codes. In that case, is there a way to put it into IML, or do you need physical media if it isn't on YouTube? Well, we're doing this with Scholar right now. The state of Utah dual language immersion program wants to use video from Scholar, and they have purchased rights to a certain number of videos. And we have the capability to use an encryption key. So that depends on the publishers and the service that they're using for streaming the video. But that was to Lauren Rosen-Yazel. That's the answer to that question. So that is very, very doable. Okay, other questions here, Jeff, that you might want to post here for the folks that are still around? Well, you're welcome to everybody that's putting thanks up there, and we can officially be over right here. Don, if you want to say goodbye to everybody, but I'll stick around to folks that still have questions.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for this great presentation. I mean, just the fact that we can do something like this and meet at this community and have the kind of interaction we've had with chat. I mean, it's been great. It's just that's a game changer in itself, and we think IML can certainly contribute to it. I'd like to ask you, make sure you post this where we can get access. We don't want to have to be students at BYU to have to get to it. So we'd sure appreciate getting the links.
I'll put it on. Well, we can probably put it on YouTube, and then I will send that link out to everybody.
And that's good. And then we can put it in on our DL-SIG site and let everybody know where it's at, because word's going to get around about this. Victoria, did you want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you very much for your time today. I think this was really impressive, and the number of participants we had from around the world showed the interest. And so thank you very much for your time. And Don, thank you very much for setting this up. And everyone who's out there, please consider joining the Distance Learning Special Interest Group.
Super. Super. Well, thanks to you all for being here. It's a great pleasure. We're excited about this. So I'll sit here for a few more minutes. I've got another meeting here in another 23 minutes, but I can stick around if you've got a few more questions, but don't feel like you have to.
Mike, I'll lurk until you go.
Okay. Yeah, someone asked, can you post your Zoom recording for us? Yes, absolutely. John Bowden asked that question. We'll be more than happy to make that available. It's being recorded, and we'll render it, and we'll get it out there right away. Jeff, do you see any other questions there that flowed through that I need to look at?
Jeff already left for class, so it's Natalie. There's still a few
Natalie.
questions left. Hi.
Yeah, hi there. Hi, Natalie. Yeah. Yes, that's right. You had to go to class. Natalie, could you just scan the question list there? Did Jeff have any that he identified?
There's still a few questions left that need to be answered, but
you can copy and just repost those here, and that way I can see.
Sounds good.
If you copy and paste some of those that are there, and I'll do the answer right away here in the last couple of minutes. You're welcome, Michael. Thank you very much for being with us. Michael, Christine and Mike at DLI. Very glad to have you all with us today. I appreciate Don alerting you all to it. Okay, here's a question. Have you done any research on the effectiveness of IML? Well, there's a lot of research, and I can make that available. I have various graduate students that have done studies looking at the effectiveness of having subtitles available and having dictionary definitions available. We've done our own studies here in that same vein, where we basically are looking at, we know that having captions available and having the definitions available, there's a lot of research that says that happens. So we're not comparing IML to anything else, but we're using IML as a vehicle for good research that we know needs to be done. Okay, so Jennifer Shotwell asked a question. What kind of assignments do we do? Well, let me actually have some PowerPoint slides here that illustrate that. Let me put these up. It's pretty classic when it gets right down to it, but I'll go through these since you asked that question. This is the kind of thing that you can do in class, right? Basically get them ready to view the video. Ask them questions like what they might anticipate seeing after they viewed it, and in a situation where the sound is off. Questions about experiences once they figure out what they think it's going to be about. Ask them about student experiences similar to what they will experience in the video. Talk about when it was filmed, the popularity and the target culture of the medium, the media that you're using, and then during. And this is someone actually raised this during the webinar. Ask them questions. So it's been a very straightforward approach in the classes where I've used it. We will have them watch the video and then have them then answer questions on our learning management system. It's simple questions about the video, just comprehension kinds of things. I do have colleagues that can make some lesson plans available. See, how do you achieve the hypertext between the transcript and the film? Is that hand-coded or auto-generated in some magical way? Well, the hypertext that we're showing with the automatic definitions, that's pretty much that. This is automatic. Now, doing the annotations, and that's the difference. The annotations can be more specific to the particular video, to the needs of the particular students. But those take money to generate, right? It takes time and effort to produce those. When you have your media and the transcript, all of the definitions are available through WILEX, through our dictionary service. Is there a limit on the length of video? Well, we're doing feature-length movies. I demonstrated a little bit earlier, jumping from the beginning of the movie to the end. Let me go back and finish this right here. During the second viewing, put the events in order, true, false questions, getting more at the details, and then after they viewed it, writing summaries, predicting what's happening, writing a different ending. Basically what we're trying to do there is to move from the video, and I keep saying video, but really it can be listening, it can be audio, it can be text, and be graphics. How many users do we currently have? Well, the type of user data that we can collect on them, I showed earlier we know which button they click on, when they click on it, and the order in which they've done it. So we've got basically the events and the times. And in terms of learners right now, we have active learners. You can see here on the, let me go back to the analytics here. This is the data that we've collected since the beginning of the semester. So there's almost 170,000. We're getting like 7,400, 363 learners right now, averaging using the system a day. So that's where we can get that. But this data is saved into a large database. This is running in the cloud on Amazon Web Services. This is an open source learning record store, and we're communicating using XAPI, and we've created XAPI statements that represent interaction with the system. I think that probably answers that question. Thank you. Anybody that has to leave, please do that. Please be gone. Don't want to hold you up and make you late, but I'll stick around for any more questions. I'm scanning back up here to what Natalie put together. Jeff had to go to class. Oh, the types of assignments, I think I did that. Future webinars, we'll let you know. If people are able to get to the survey, go ahead and fill that out. Let us know what you want to do. We can open up some of the things that we have available. I think that's about it, unless anybody's got anything burning that I missed. I don't know, Natalie, do you see anything else that anybody else posted there? We still have a dozen people still on, so.
Not on my question end. We just got another question about being able to access the recording, but you already said that we're going to be able to send out links later for everybody to look at it later, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, you'll need to start that process there at the, did Jeff show you how to do that before he left?
He didn't, but I could probably figure it out.
I'm sure you can.
As soon as you shut off the meeting and end the meeting, it will start to render.
Okay.
All right, super. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody being here today, and I'll say goodbye. Goodbye to everyone.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for the work on this. I'll be talking to you in the near future.
Great. Thanks. Thank you, Don, for setting it up.
Okay, take care.
Save that chat. Well, what do you think, Michael? Did you heard about this before?
You know, I was do you remember the learning objects offside up in Park City?
Oh, you were up there for that.
Yeah, I was in there. So I met you briefly. I didn't get a chance to talk to you, but I'm a language lover. In fact, I met my wife at a foreign language complex up there above the MTC.
Oh,
so
cool.
We're big linguophiles. And in fact, I was texting her while you were presenting, saying, "Oh my goodness,